What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Train, as usual. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we're going to talk about here my top current NBA matchups. But before we do that, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Please make sure to comment, tell anyone about the show. Try and get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. And y'all might be wondering, why do I have on a robe? Well, because I'm chilling right now. I'm still diligent. But I got on my mug that says I don't intend on doing anything today. Well, that might be a lie, because I intend on watching my favorite matchups. That's right, my highlights and whatnot. I'm gonna peep them. I'm gonna talk about my favorite matchups real quick, because again, they're my favorite matchups. So again, that's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and get it popping off, shall we? With my favorite matchups. Top 10. That's what we got to talk about. Number 10, ladies and gentlemen. This is a new one. It's Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown versus Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. Now, we've seen Steph go up against JT and JB. We've seen Jimmy go up against JT and JB. We've never seen Steph and Jimmy go up against JT and JB. And keep in mind, those two separate battles were spectacular. So I'm imagining this would be grandiose if we could see it happen, right? Like, it has to be in the finals, of course, for the playoffs to happen. During the regular season, definitely going to be entertaining. But playoffs, finals, gotta watch that. So again, that's my number 10. Personally. But I'm curious what y'all think about that. So definitely comment and let me know what y'all think about JB and JT versus Steph and Jimmy. But let's go ahead and move on up to number 9, because some more to talk about. Anthony Edwards versus Steph Curry, ladies and gentlemen. We still got Steph on the itinerary right now, but keep in mind he's going up against the young gun in Anthony Edwards. And when I look at these two, I see two great players, or potentially great players when we're talking about Anthony Edwards. Steph Curry, the greatest shooter we've ever seen. But then you see someone like Anthony Edwards making more threes than Steph Curry. And when you look at his archetype, Anthony Edwards, meaning he seemed more like an athletic slasher coming out the gates, right? The scorer type, not the three-point shooter that he's displayed. So again, when I see this, and we always put Anthony Edwards in the Jordan category, right? Oh, he's a young MJ. All right, cool. Well, seeing him versus Steph is the new current up and coming guard versus the not necessarily older guard, but yeah, kind of older guard too. Steph 36, 37. We're not gonna see Steph after like 5 seasons of play. Let's be honest. So again, I love to see these matchups, because it's kind of like the past versus the present going up against one another. So Ant versus Steph, I'm always looking to watch. But enough of that one. Let's go on and move up to the next one, shall we? Which again encompasses Ant battling Jokić and Murray, because I actually talked about which player would I rather have, at least archetype wise. Would it be the killer in Anthony Edwards or the playmaker in Nikola Jokić? And I went Anthony Edwards. That's the player I think everybody wants to have on their team, right? You want both, but if you had to choose, you might lean the killer, not specifically Anthony Edwards or Nikola Jokić, talking about the killer, right? Look how we look at MJ versus Braun, for example. So again, that's what I'm talking about. But then also how Anthony Edwards locked up Jamal Murray. And Jamal Murray is a good player too. Let's not act like Jamal Murray is trash. But Anthony Edwards did pretty well against Jamal Murray. Like it wasn't that good of a series for Jamal. So that matchup, personally, it's showcasing again a kind of current uphill for Anthony Edwards, and then still a test for Nikola Jokić, because I think those two players are capable of winning a championship and leading a team to a championship. So that's the reason why I put those at the top matchup for me. But again, let's move on up to number 7, because I've talked about number 8 long enough, right? We got here Jaylen Brown versus Luka and JT versus Braun. We're talking about Celtics versus the Lakers right now, which again, I'm a Laker fan, ladies and gentlemen. So for me, it's an entertaining one, but I'm also a Duke fan too. So I do support Jayson Tatum as well, keep in mind. So I'm not torn because of that. I would favor my Lakers. But again, I do support both teams a little bit. So again, me watching Jaylen Brown go up against Luka, which we saw in the finals just last year, and then JT versus Braun. Let's not forget JT's rookie year dunked on Braun. We've been trying to put JT versus Braun for years now. If we could see that in the finals, That would be wonderful to watch. And that's when it would happen. But the matchup overall, no matter when we're watching it, regular season or finals, I would like to see that occur. And I think it would provide a lot of entertainment. And the masses would definitely rock with this. But again, it's number 6. It's number 7 for me. That's what we got. Let's move on up to number 6, shall we? Which is Giannis versus Jokic, or a healthy Embiid. And I put healthy as the mean caveat, because if he's not healthy, I don't care about it as much. Joel Embiid has to be healthy for him to even be on this list. So that's, again, the main disclaimer. I don't feel like hearing anybody complain about that. But Giannis and Jokic, anytime I see them go up against one another, gotta watch that. They're two of the elite players the game has had over the last 5 years. You have to watch those two battle. Not to mention their styles of play are talked about. Which one would you rather prefer? Jokic is viewed as a skilled player. Giannis is viewed as that brute force, right? Which style of big would you rather have on your team to build around? That's a quality conversation to talk about. And again, international bigs too. We got to love this matchup. So Jokic versus Giannis. And when we mention a healthy Embiid, there's arguably no more dominant player in the game than a healthy Embiid. But again, health is the main thing. So that's my number 6, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and move on up to my number 5. And keep in mind, too, for number 6, all of those were MVPs, by the way. You got to love that. But, and worthy of it, too. Don't slight people. But number 5, and this one's going to be tricky because I know some of y'all are going to say, how in the world is this up here? It's Amen Thompson versus Anthony Edwards. This might be a hot take. I truly do view Amen Thompson as one of the players who could possibly be a face of the NBA. I said a face of the NBA. And the reason why I love this matchup is because when I see Anthony Edwards, there's very few players that we see that can kind of contain Anthony Edwards. Like when I think of players, I think maybe a Scotty Barnes could do well, right? Amen Thompson is in the right situation because on the Rockets, their team is pretty good, right? Like they could be successful. And he's good enough to be the leader on the championship team. So for me, when I look at these two, I love the matchup, but also Amen actually does a good job at defending Anthony Edwards. So for me, when I'm looking at Anthony Edwards versus Amen Thompson, I'm thinking of a future rivalry that we could be watching, whether Anthony Edwards remains on the Wolves or whether Amen Thompson remains on the Rockets. Those two players could be battling it out. And honestly, if we had Anthony Edwards paired with someone like Amen Thompson or Scotty Barnes, the league may want to watch out because that would be a quality duo to build around. I'm not going to lie to you. But again, that's my number 5. Let's move on up to my number 4, which again encompasses Ant. Y'all might think Ant's my favorite player. I'm just realizing this. But it's Shai versus Anthony Edwards, ladies and gentlemen. When I'm watching these two dynamic guards go up against one another, Shai's the MVP candidate. Anthony Edwards has MVP expectations at some point in time in the near future, right? So when they're going up against one another, you got to watch these matchups. Anthony Edwards has the potential to be better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like I said, is an MVP candidate. He's viewed as one of the best players in the league. And when we're talking about dominance, both players are dominant offensively and defensively at minimum, perception-wise. So again, when I'm watching these two, we're talking about future stars. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a person that Anthony Edwards has to usurp in order to become one of the faces of the true faces, or at least the face of the NBA. Because Shai's is a solid player. So again, when I watch these two play, they've had a quality back and forth already in their history. I think it's going to be a rivalry that the NBA is trying to pair up again. So I love to watch that matchup. I think y'all should too. But let's go ahead and move on down to the number 3 top matchup for me, which is Jayson Tatum versus Nikola Jokić. And I understand you might have some gripes about having JT versus Nikola Jokić, but we got to remember too, JT's been in the MVP discussion for quite some time. He's been viewed as the best player on the Celtics, even though the Celtics have had a top team. Now, keep in mind, Jaylen Brown did win Finals MVP. Jayson Tatum versus Jokić, in a lot of folks' eyes, is the premier matchup. No shade to either with Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown. The perceived matchup would be Jayson Tatum versus Nikola Jokić. And when we're talking about ability-wise, JT does have more ability than JB. So again, if we want to look at Celtics versus Nuggets, cool. Just understand, at least for this season, JT versus Jokic would be the faces of that matchup. There's a lot of matchups and a lot of talking points within the Celtics versus Nuggets matchup. JT versus Jokic, because they at least are viewed as the stars of their team. But again, that's the main reason why. So we don't have to talk about number 3 as much. I think that would be a decent battle. A lot of folks might lean Jokic's way. That's why I'm not trying to talk about it as much, but it'd be a good battle. So let's move on down to number 2, which again encompasses Jokic. I know somebody was going to say, oh, he's going to talk about Anthony Edwards again. No. It's Jokic versus Luka. Or I guess Luka versus Jokic based on how it's written, right? Those two easily can be perceived as number 1 and number 2 in the league point in time. Like if someone said that, I'm not going to say they're stupid. You might not agree. You can't say they stupid, like at all whatsoever. So for me, when I'm watching this, I'm watching 2 international players who play at an MVP level get a bucket. I just sit back, cock my feet up, and relax when I'm watching them play. I'm gonna get a lot of playmaking. I'm gonna get a lot of dazzling plays on the court offensively. We're not talking about defensively. We're talking about offensively. Like, we're going to get some solid rebounds, some deep threes. We're going to see some good basketball. Again, focusing offensively. It's an entertaining matchup between those two. So, Luka versus Jokic, I got to watch that matchup personally. That's just me. Not just because Luka's on the Lakers, my Lakers. Like, it was even when he was on the Mavs. It was more interesting when he was on the Mavs, honestly. Right now, I don't know. They're talking about Luka and Jokic possibly trying to pair up. I think Luka and Giannis might pair up just because Giannis can leave earlier. But that's just me. Let's go ahead and move on down to my number 1, though. For my number 1, I always kick back and relax when I'm watching these guys play. And that's Steph versus KD versus Braun. Reason why. Steph and KD are my favorite players for starters off top. But Braun also is one of the greatest players that we've seen play as well, too. Really, all 3 of them are 3 of the greatest players that we've seen play in the history of the game. Steph and Braun, we can talk about in the NBA's top 10. And then we talk about Kevin Durant. I personally think Kevin Durant is the better NBA player out of all of them. About career, though, not so much. So, again, when we're watching all of these people play, it's always entertaining because you get the history, the nostalgia vibes of it, right? And then you get the, oh, hey, my player is better than your player conversations still. And they're giving us elite level play. There's pressure on all 3 every season. Arguably the most pressure on all 3 every season. So, again, when I watch these guys play, whether it's regular season or playoffs, I got to be locked in and tuned in. And keep in mind, regular season, I can enjoy it and appreciate it a little bit more than I can playoffs, because playoffs, that's when the pressure builds. So again, ladies and gentlemen, these are all of my top matchups. And I understand some of y'all might have some different opinions, like, hey, whoa. Where's this person and that person? I could have thrown the Grizzlies versus the Warriors, maybe. Could have. But does that really appease me? That's my top matchup. So I'm curious, what's y'all top matchups? I'm sorry. So definitely comment your answers. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is the end of the episode. So I definitely appreciate you all for listening. Thank you. And like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one.